and welcome to Startup Street. I'm Ritu Singh and here are the top headlines from the startup space. RBI issues an FAQ on Paytm Payments Bank following restrictions imposed on it, extends the deadline to stop services from Feb 29 to March 15th, even as NHAI removes the payment bank from the list of 32 authorized lenders for FASTag services. Karnataka government announces 3 targeted programs to boost early-stage startups, women entrepreneurship and agri-tech adoption in its budget for FY25. 150 crore rupees are allocated for animation and gaming startups. OTT platform Ullu Digital files an IPO paper with BSE SME to raise 135 to 150 crore rupees with a fresh issue of around 62.6 lakh shares. If approved, it will be the biggest ever SME IPO in terms of size. Ola slashes prices of its e-scooters by up to 25,000 rupees in a bid to shore up sales. The revised prices will be effective only in February. The electric vehicle makers have been slashing prices across the world due to slowing demand. Online seafood platform Captain Fresh raises $25 million in an extended CVC funding round led by British International Investment and Nikanti Seafood Group. Fresh funds will enable it to faster expand in markets like the US and Europe. Microsoft-backed OpenAI unveils a text-to-video model called Sora, which can create videos of up to 60 seconds featuring highly detailed scenes, camera motion, and multiple characters. This marks the next significant step for OpenAI after ChatGPT and DALL-E. Well, fish and seafood tech startup Captain Fresh has announced a $25 million funding as part of its ongoing extended CVC round, which is led by British International Investment and others. The company says it is going to use these funds to expand its distribution presence in the United States and European markets and also look at acquisitions and joint venture partnerships in the region. So joining me now to tell us more about these plans is Uttam Gowda, the founder and CEO of Captain Fresh. Uttam, welcome here on Startup Street. Thanks very much for joining us. Start by telling us about this additional 25 million round that you've raised in your ongoing Series C round. This is at a valuation of $500 million, as we understand?
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on this show. Yeah, we have raised 25 million in the most recent tranche, which is led by British International Investments, and also strongly supported by our earliest investors, Nikanti Seafood. So this is part of a larger extended Series C round where we had raised another $20 million in September, which was led by a Japanese group called SBI and a Dubai-based fund called Evolvence. So the entire 45 million plus, which is raised in this extended Series C round, is done at a valuation of $500 million, which is, it's done at a valuation of $500 million. The proceeds are mostly towards the value chain integration, particularly into the US and Europe.
Uttam, how much more are you looking to raise in this round before you close it, and which investors are you talking to?
So currently, we are almost towards the fag end of this round. Maybe another $3 or $5 million is on the card, which is from existing set of investors.
Okay, so another $3 to $5 million still left for the round. But let's come back to how you're going to deploy this. You were telling us about it. You're looking at expanding operations in the US and Europe and scaling presence as well. Take us through the details.
Yeah, so if you look at Captain Fresh, we started off in 2020, and we started with the whole strategy of organizing supply in India. We built distribution in India, and slowly we started thinking about the global demand, because Indian seafood is extremely attractive from a global supply chain standpoint. So in a way, we have morphed ourselves into a large vertically integrated seafood focused B2B marketplace. In this direction, One of the key competencies that we need to have is the demand side presence, particularly US and Europe, which are the large markets for us. So this entire fundraise is directed towards acquiring the distribution competency in these markets.
But Uttam, you're also going to use some of the funds to make acquisitions in these areas, right? Or enter into JVs. Anything that's on the table at the moment?
Yes, there are two acquisitions in the pipeline, which are in the final stages. We have closed one acquisition, which is a Paris-based distributor, which we closed late last
Yeah.
quarter. There are two more distributors which are in the pipeline. One in the US and other in the Eastern Europe region.
Okay, given your heavy focus on the US and European markets, I have to ask you, what sort of, export growth are you eyeing from these markets versus some of the other markets that you're present in? Are those two going to be the sole focus areas?
Yes, US and Europe are going to be a focus area. We expect these two markets to contribute to more than 85% of our business going forward. US being the largest, almost half of our business should be coming from US. So the competency that we are acquiring is largely credentials to distribute into large names like Auchan, Carrefour. So these are large retailers getting credentials to distribute seafood into them takes a while. We are trying to shorten this time to market through inorganic route. Similarly, in the US as well, idea is to acquire customer relationships. What we have built out, the technology platform that we have built out in India and which we expect to take to other parts of the Indian Ocean region, is a very asset-light, technology-led aggregation of supplies. Now, with the combination of these competencies that we acquire, which is largely the customer relationships, we expect to be one of the largest vertically integrated, multi-species, multi-origin seafood platform, kind of a one of a kind in the global supply chain.
All right, Uttam, we're going to leave it at that. Thanks very much for your time here on CNBC TV 18. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Okay, we have to take a short break on that note, but up next is your nutrition solution at an affordable price. Aishwarya Anand caught up with Troo Good's founder to tell you more about this opportunity, that and more when we return. Welcome back. You're watching Startup Street. Now, supply chain financing platform Cashinvoice has raised $3.4 million in a Series A funding round, which was led by HDFC Bank and others. Now, the company says this capital will help it strengthen the existing business and facilitate the launch of new products across the supply chain finance ecosystem. Now, since its inception in 2019, Cashinvoice has achieved break-even by facilitating disbursement of more than 15 lakh invoices and has more than 3,000 MSMEs on its platform. Arun Pujari, the CEO and co-founder of Cashinvoice, joins us now to tell us more about the company. Arun, welcome to Startup Street. Very briefly for our viewers, tell us about this $3.4 million of funding, what you plan to do with this capital.
Sure. Thanks, Ritu, for having me on your channel. So this particular round would be more. So this is a strategic round. It's not any normal round from a investment perspective. So the match, what we were looking at was the India's largest private sector bank, which is HDFC Bank coming in. So there is a lot of synergy which we think would come on board. So our idea is co-product development. So that's a major area which we would be getting in. The reach would be provided by HDFC Bank. The product expertise and tech expertise will be brought in by Cashinvoice on the table. And that is where we see the real expansions and real value coming out of this proposition.
Okay, like you said, it is a strategic investment, right? Because you've been engaged with HDFC Bank for the last 2 years to digitize the supply chain. So with this current investment, which you call strategic, what more are you expecting from this partnership?
Yeah, so prima facie, if you really look at it, is our growth trajectory. So the last 4 years into business, we have around 75 key anchors. Small corrections, we have more than 5,000 MSME customers who do businesses with us on a platform on a monthly basis. So what we foresee is, maybe HDFC Bank is the largest private sector bank in the country today, and there will be hardly any corporates who wouldn't be working with HDFC. So our idea was supply chain offering, which is key to any large corporates, the fundamentals of cash flow management per se. If you could offer through HDFC Bank to their customers, that would really bring in a big strategic value for both Cashinvoice as well as HDFC Bank.
Okay, Arun, you claim to have disbursed about 15 lakh invoices since you started operations. You have more than 3,000 MSMEs on the platform. What next from here on? How do you plan to scale?
So a bit difference in our model is, we have our own acquisition team where we get in touch with an anchor and get them onboarded. So this number seems to be or would be multiplied maybe by 6 times or 8 times in the coming year with all this strategic thing getting in place. Fundamentals or our prime focus area would be to get this alignment in place in the next 3 months of time, so that we have the entire full year to get this up from a strategic written perspective.
Okay, I also read that you're targeting about $2.4 billion of loan, or rather 2.4 billion of loan dispersals via your platform in partnership in the next financial year. That's a big number you're targeting. Tell us how you're planning to go about this.
Yeah, Ritu, if you have seen our growth trajectory, the numbers, so these are some realistic numbers which we have taken in our strides, given the players who have got associated with us. So currently for the anchors which we do, so beyond HDFC Bank, we also partner with 25 financial institutions, including all three. So the offering which we have for our anchors, it's seamless. And the depth which we have in terms of our offering creates a great value for our anchor and creates a great value for in terms of the returns which they foresee getting associated with Cashinvoice. So we are only platform in the country which provides all three threads: platform as an option, cards as an option, banking and an anchor to use their own treasury as an option. So the depth which we have, that is one. The collaboration which we have, that is two part to it, and obviously we see a huge pipeline in a near future which will help us to get these numbers achieved.
Okay, you've already achieved break-even, but if you could give us a sense of what the current profit and revenue figures are like before we ask you about the target for the next few years.
So we would be closing this year with $1.5 million of our revenue, when we foresee to multiply by 4 times the next financial year coming in. So break-even is already, as in we have achieved our break-even. Yeah. So from here, So this particular round was more of a strategic round, as I did mention to you. So maybe next 6 to 8 months we'll be coming up with a bigger round, which will have a purpose of maybe having getting an entry into multi-country model per se. So right now we are highly focused on India. We are highly focused on this strategic investment which has happened. We just want to use this time movement, to get our footing right, get our product proposition right, get our implementation right, get our strategic value in place, so that we don't lose out on any time and opportunity which comes along with this particular investments.
But before we let you go, Arun, over the longer term, what is your plan for Cashinvoice as a company? Any new revenue streams you're looking to target? Any longer term, ambitions you have for the company?
Yeah, for now I'll keep it short in terms of we are taking 2 years horizon from here. So we would be a profitable company next financial year. We have one more bigger round coming up that has global footprints marked around. But right now, as I said, so the priority is to get the initiatives which we have in place, so that we really are highly focused on India right now, as I said.
Okay, Arun, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you very much for joining in. Okay, that was the conversation with Cashinvoice. But before we wrap, let's also take a look at the startup funding picture, because it is Friday where we always get you the wrap up. Indian startups have witnessed 17 deals this week worth $88 million, according to data from Venture Intelligence. Some of the notable names are pet care startup Supertails, which raised $15 million from RPSG Capital Ventures, Fireside Ventures, Sama Capital, among others. You also had supply chain platform Metalbook, which attracted $15 million from Axelor Ventures, from Fundamental Stride Ventures and others. Security tech startup Scroot also secured $9 million from Lightspeed Ventures, Mass Mutual Ventures and other investors. But that is not all. You had seafood startup Captain Fresh, which we had on the show today, raising $25 million from British International Investment. Agri-tech-focused fintech company iCart also received $6.5 million from Omnivore Partners, Sina Capital, as well as others. In total, Indian startups have seen 121 deals worth $1.01 billion in 2024 thus far. Okay, on that note, we're going to wrap up this edition of Startup Street. Thanks very much for watching in. More news and updates will continue on the other side, so don't go anywhere.